Good morning. I'd like to call this meeting to order for the Blackhawk County Board of Supervisors regular session for April 14, 2026. Roll call, please. Mr. Jameson.
Brant.
Here.
Paul. Here. Kurtenbach. Here. Schwartz.
Here.
Leyland.
Here. Would everyone please join us for a moment of silence to reflect on our actions here today? Thank you. Would you please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 1, the agenda received as proposed or as amended.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. The agenda is received. Item 2, public comments. Is there anyone in the audience today that would like to speak on something that is not on today's agenda? If so, please give your name and address. Thank you very much.
My name is Gabe Grodhouse. I live in Cedar Falls, Iowa, here in Blackhawk County. Good morning, supervisors. Thanks for letting me speak today. Several months ago is when I first saw the news that Supervisor Schwartz was being investigated. I expected to see that he would be stepping down from this board, but I never saw that. As the investigation continued by the Department of Iowa Criminal Investigations, I expected to see a resignation. He's parted ways with the other organizations he was affiliated with. I assume that would be coming here for Blackhawk County as well. That never came. What was almost as shocking to me as this news was that until just a few days ago, I never saw anyone on this board call for him to step down. I have sent correspondence to each of you. I did hear back from you, Supervisor Leyland. Thank you for your email. I expect to hear back from the rest of you soon. This statement you made is appreciated, Supervisor Brandt, Supervisor Hall. I appreciate what you said, but it's late. Once again, I saw this week Mr. Schwartz was in the news. Not because he chose to do the right thing, but because, once again, he's been arrested. This is not a good look for our county. It's not a good look for our community. If any other employee in this county were facing charges like this, they'd be placed on leave. But we have one of the highest ranking of our county here serving or appearing to serve here as if everything was normal. You know, there are many individuals and organizations in this community who have benefited from their associations with Mr. Schwartz, and I'd ask that all of them speak out and ask him to step down. I'm looking on the wall right here. I saw this as I came in. Some of the values of our county: accountability, transparency, taking responsibility for what has been done, building trust through openness. Are these nice words on the wall, or are these things we stand by? I would urge everyone to speak out. Those who have had associations and benefited politically and publicly, take this moment to show some leadership. It's a challenge for business leaders, political affiliates, many of whom have had interactions before. They've publicly endorsed Mr. Schwartz. Now it's your time to publicly call for him to step down. One of those individuals is sitting here. Mr. Kurtenbach, I haven't heard anything from you. Would you make that call? Make it clear. I know you are not able to remove him, but you can call for him to step down. Mr. Schwartz, if you're listening to me, you can step down on your own choice. You've told this county time and time again that your goal is to serve and do what's in the best interest of the county. It's in the best interest of this county that you step down. Take care of your personal matters and allow this community and this board to move forward without this ongoing distraction. I don't know how you can claim that what you're doing is in the best interest of Blackhawk County. The people deserve better than this. Blackhawk County deserves better than this. I would challenge everyone, take this moment to show some leadership. This is not what we stand for here in Blackhawk County. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak today? Hearing none, we'll move on to claims and payments. This is a resolution that the Board of Supervisors approve expenditures and that the county auditor be authorized and directed to issue payments against the various settlement of such claims as allowed.
So moved. Second.
Ms. Wiedner.
Good morning, Board. Our total bill payment today is $436,151.14. Of that, we are paying $2,906.68 from the 60/40 fund, and really nothing large or unusual today. So everything appears to be in order.
If there are no questions, this is a resolution. Please answer as your name is called.
Moran?
Yes.
He said Hall?
Dave?
Yes.
Kurttenbach,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Leyland?
Yes. Item number 4, receive project updates from department heads and elected officials.
Good morning, Board. Kathy Nicholas, engineer. I want to let you know that Dysart Road is now closed for about 3 weeks. We're continuing the contract where we're continuing to work on our bridges that have experienced spalling and deterioration on the drip edge due to a design that was probably about 30 years old now. So we're continuing to work on some of those bridges around the county. Dysart will be closed for about 3 weeks in Schrock and Quarry Roads. Our pavement marking project is also in full swing right now, so residents should see, drivers should see new pavement markings throughout the county as well as new stop bars. That should be finished here in another week or so. We did receive some good news last week about our 2025, our competitive highway bridge project that we applied for the Eagle Road Bridge to that competitive highway bridge grant program. We did receive notice that the DOT, we are eligible now, we are approved for that grant. We had originally anticipated it would be at an 80% federal county match. We were told it would be at a 64% match, so that is better than nothing. So we are happy to have received that news. And we'll be programming that for 2027 fiscal year, so next year's construction. So we'll keep you posted on that. And then just one more reminder that tomorrow is open house for the Highway 63, Cedar Wapsie Road intersection improvements at the Denver Community Center from 4 to 5:30 p.m. And the DOT is sponsoring that. Can I answer any questions?
Kathy, Dysart Road will be moving forward on the Casey Lake ribbon cutting, correct?
Weather permitting.
Weather permitting, I can't guarantee that.
Yeah.
There are, our project is north of
Right.
that portion of Dysart Road, so you can take Highway 21 and cut over and get to Dysart Road, but
Okay.
we can work with Gabby to give people directions if Dysart Road is still closed. We're hopeful that it will be complete by then, but I can't guarantee that.
Okay, just wanted to bring that up.
Yes.
Thank you.
Morning Board, Amanda Besmeyer, HR Director. Couple things, open enrollment is coming up May 1st, so we're going to be pushing information out to employees about enrolling in or continuing to enroll in their benefits or make any of those changes for July 1 of the next fiscal year. With that, we don't have any benefit changes. I'll be out the next 2 weeks, so I'll be at the conference, National or NPELR conference in Charlotte, and then off on vacation. But Sherry will be here maybe at board meetings the next couple of weeks to answer any questions leading up to open enrollment. But no benefit changes with that. We will have just some paperwork that needs to be signed in May for renewals, but there's no alterations. The GAPM results, generally accepted people metrics, so that information was shared with the department heads at the last week at the department head meeting. We are working on getting the updated posters from the March survey. We had 70% participation for that, and we have instructed department heads, elected officials to share those results. Trying to get that out by the end of the week to share that with their teams. There's also a training coming up in May. We're partnering with Sheriff's Office to offer that to all county employees on FMLA and ADA. It partners pretty well with the management required training that we had in January on the same topics. So we're encouraging the department heads, elected officials to get their staff to one of those 3 options. It's the first 3 Wednesdays of the month. So, any questions at all? And looking forward to bringing back some good information from our national conference that we can hopefully build on and apply here. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else or anyone online that would like to provide an update? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 5, minutes approved for April 7, 2026.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign, minutes are approved. Item 6, the consent agenda. The following items are acted upon by a single resolution unless someone wishes to remove one for discussion.
So moved.
Second.
So, resolution, please answer as your name is called.
Hall.
Yes.
Kurttenbach.
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Grant.
yes,
Leyland.
Yes. Item number 7, contracts and agreements. This is a resolution to approve the contract with One City United to provide comprehensive wraparound services to individuals in recovery, including job training and placement services for the period through June 30, 2027, funded with, and I just happened to throw in the amount of $250,000 of opioid settlement funds for the charity sign, same as submitted by Michelle Wiedner, Finance Director.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Oh, never mind, this is a resolution. Please answer as your name is called.
Kurttenbach.
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Grant.
yes,
Hall.
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Item number 8, other business. This is a motion to approve the personnel requisition submitted for an office specialist, full-time replacement, as recommended by Sheriff Nathan Nick.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item B, this is discussion, possible board action concerning the property addressed at 326 3rd Street in Washburn and a possible Iowa Code Chapter 657A action to acquire title to this property.
So moved.
Mike, no, well, do we need to hear what?
Oh, yeah, I guess I do.
So I'll give you a high-level overview here, because I think everybody on the board is fairly familiar with this property. This property had fallen in, according to neighbors, had fallen into disrepair, perhaps beginning some 50 years ago. It was occupied until about 20 years ago, I believe. One of the neighbors said 20 years ago, this August. Since that time, it's been abandoned, largely gone unmaintained. That property, what's happened because of that is, for one thing, the structure's falling in, it's kind of falling apart. I think there was a tree growing through part of the wall or roof at one point. You can see that there is a structure that is allowing various vermin to get in. The door's been left open. There was water in the basement. Believe there are various household items in there. I've heard of things being stolen from there, like a window air conditioner. There's several animals, including large animals or larger nuisance animals that have been apparently making their home in there and supporting the neighbors. I believe one neighbor, maybe more, has seen kids enter the property. There's a genuine safety concern. Neighbors have said that the incidence of rats and other vermin have increased because of this house being nearby. And I could go on about the details, but you kind of get the idea based on that. Some years ago, I believe, we had our maintenance superintendent reached out to the owner of the property. I believe visited with him in person. He agreed to do some cleanup. I think there was one time, maybe it was a couple of times, where the property was mowed. At one point, they got a garage door shut because it was partially opened. But as to any actual maintenance, any actual rehabbing of the property or even securing of the property, that has not been done. And so it's continued kind of in its state of disrepair. And so far as I know, the property isn't being mowed either right now. And that will rear its ugly head soon enough here. Now, as a result, the neighbors have been calling upon us to do something about this. Obviously, it's not an incorporated community, so it falls in the county. The house sits in the middle of fairly, in the middle of a residential area. It's not like it's out in the country or something like that. It's kind of right in the middle of Washburn, more or less. And so, as the board is aware, Chapter 657A of the Code of Iowa allows for few different forms of action. The most common is an action for the governmental subdivision, meaning us, to take title to the property based on abandonment, nuisance, and other listed criteria. The City of Waterloo does these types of actions quite regularly. I'm sure you've seen some of them where they do. We usually get served with them. Other cities within the county also do it. I'm aware of at least 2 or 3 others that have done them fairly recently, in fact, within Blackhawk County. And the idea is it enables us, now granted it'd be our expense then, enables us to demolish the structure, get the property in, first of all, a safe condition that isn't an invitation to nuisance or an invitation to trespass, but also potentially market the remaining real estate. And I don't know what it's worth out there for a residential lot, but first and foremost, the house has got to be removed. Imagine the basement needs to be filled in, and so that's kind of where things are sitting. In order to go about that, and I don't have my outline in front of me, but I can tell you just there's steps that you might imagine are necessary for this. They're somewhat obvious. First of all, highly recommended is that you give anybody with an interest in the property a chance to remedy the problem on their own. Now, you can argue, and you would be arguing truthfully, that we've already done that. But I'd like to get a written notice on file being very specific. I don't think it may have been always clear what, and no doubt, even if it was clear, this owner would dispute it. My understanding, by the way, is it's owned by a trust, so there are multiple family members that are decision makers, maybe, with respect to this place. I didn't look into how the trust was set up, or whether it was one or more trustees, or just one. But the bottom line is there's some family attachment, yet they're just kind of, I get the impression it's the classic problem where somebody kind of puts it in a drawer hoping it's going to go away, and that hasn't happened here. So the first step would be to get a hold of them, and Rory knows the contact there. He's been out to see him in person. In fact, he does not, I believe, live in Washburn. He lives with, I believe, within the county. And say, hey, so this is what we're thinking of doing. What do you want to do? Give him a chance to try to do that on his own. Now, if they agree to do that, then we'll have to come up with a time frame. I'm thinking kind of 60 days, 90 days, something like that for demolition. But that's only if they agree to do it. They have to start sooner than that, or at least show that they're getting a hold of contractors to see if they can get that work done. That would be the ideal thing for the county right now, would be to avoid the 657A action. But then we'd have to follow that up with a letter to make it very clear that, hey, look, if this isn't accomplished within whatever the stated time frame happens to be, then we are going to move forward with the 657A action. And then at that point, we would notify not only him, but anybody else who might have an interest. I'm not sure if any judgment liens have attached, or any tax liens are attached, or any, for example, any mortgages, anything like that. I don't know at this point. So at that point, we'd have to get a title report as well. That's a relatively small cost to the county, a couple of $100 approximately, for the type of report that they use when they foreclose on premises to determine who all would need to be notified under its current ownership in order to move forward with the 657A action. And the reason that's so important is because 657A actions frequently fail or have to be fixed because they don't include everyone. And so it's better to be overly abundantly cautious rather than, just think, well, we've got it, let's run. And it's not to say that surprises still don't happen. Titles are kind of funny things, as we're aware from some of our recent property purchases. And so in any event, the idea would be to get that going, get it set for a hearing. Now, if nobody responds, and this can take several months in one of these actions, but if nobody responds, we would look to obtain a default judgment granting us title to the property. If they do respond, it gets set for trial, for hearing, and that gives whoever disputes our action the place and time to go and set up a defense and say, well, we aren't, it isn't abandoned. But there are so many objective indicators of abandonment here, whether it be the animals that are infiltrated, the fact that the property isn't being maintained, the fact that utilities have been shut off. We have not affidavits, but we have written letters from several neighbors now that set forth several of the problems associated with this. I've never had to do a 657A action before. I don't believe the county has ever done one before. But this has got to be as close to a good case as I can imagine for one, assuming that we don't screw up on getting the proper notices out, and assuming that, if they want to have an opportunity to rehab or remedy this nuisance on their own, we give them that opportunity. And so that's kind of the long and short of it. But right now what we'd like to do is move forward with getting a hold of, having some kind of meeting or a detailed phone call, and this would be probably by Rory, to move forward to making that contact and giving an ultimatum of sorts, and we would determine our timeframes in that process to move forward with this so that we at least have done the prerequisite work in order to eventually go down and go down the road of filing a 657A action. And so that's what we're looking for today, is approval to move forward with meeting with the property owner or its representatives, since it is a trust, and to move forward with whatever follow-up actions are necessary after that. I assume that before we filed anything in court, we would again be meeting with the board to discuss this further. So, questions?
I guess my concern really was just the fact that the complication of the trust issue, and the fact that if there are multiples, and if this person, maybe it is the one that's close and in this community, maybe the others are not, but even if so, then is it difficult to get in touch with those individuals fast enough? I guess that's up to the owner, or what we're calling an owner or a rep, to make that happen.
It might be, depending on how the trust is set up and whether there's any public recording of it. Trusts can be a little bit funny animals like that. The bottom line is this: a trust is a person under the law. It's kind of like a corporation is a person under the law. Not to be confused with an individual, which would be a human being, but under the law, a trust is a person. And so we will look at the information that is available for the trust and insert the proper person in the event that we get to that point, including with any written correspondence demanding they take action. Having said that, it is possible that people who are, say, beneficiaries under the trust might be spread far and wide. We don't know how many people that those are right now. What we do know is we've got family contact close by, and that's a good place to start. And so that's kind of where we're looking at starting this with that person. We'll also look to investigate what's in, what we know about the trust, whether anything's publicly recorded. I imagine there's something, I can check with the recorder's office. In fact, there might be something right in the title record for the house because of the fact that it's owned by a trust. Sometimes that trust will name itself as one of the records recorded on the property. Not always, not typically, but sometimes. And so it's the bottom line is we need to see who the seller is. I'm wondering if it's one that, it's probably maybe the deceased individual. I wonder if the trust may have technically ceased to exist at this point. So there are some things we've got to look into in that regard. But regardless, there should at some point surface an individual that can be served as a representative for that trust. And if we can't get a hold of that individual and they don't respond in mail, then we move forward with our 657A action.
Mike, do you need a authorization for moving forward with the title search or anything at this point, or do you wanna hold off on that?
It's a small enough cost that I didn't consider a board authorization necessary. I believe the lower quoted cost I thought was $165. But I'd certainly ask that you do approve the title search since we're already approving moving forward on this plan here because that's gonna be the next step after talking to this individual and kind of figuring out how the trust is set up. The reason that I don't say go right to the title report, we could, is that it's because title reports have a way of becoming a little stale over time, meaning that at any point after that report is finalized, which is actually before it's printed and sent to us, another lien could attach. And I realize that there's, that can happen in a split second with electronic recording. But having said that, you have a little more protection if it's within, say, a month of that title report as opposed to, say, 2, 3, 4 months. When I did foreclosures, I used to try to file within a month of the date on my title report. I never had any issues with liens attaching at that time. Not that it couldn't have happened, it just never happened to me.
Well, Mike, knowing the history and the outcry of the neighborhood, I'd make the motion that you take your most present. The timing is needed, but we move forward with your timeline as needed for this action taking place.
And that was gonna be immediate, I believe.
Yep.
Seems like.
I second the motion. I wanna add though, in that communication with the trust, I would really prefer to keep that timeline as short as responsible. So if that's 60 days for them to get to an agreement with a contractor, within 90 days of service for work to have started, I think that is beyond reasonable.
Oh, that's
Considering-
beyond reasonable.
Yeah,
When
considering
I
how
said
long this is-
60 or 90, I was thinking we'd done.
Oh, yeah.
Having it
Good,
done,
great.
okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's realistic, just because it depends on availability, but we should be able to gauge whether they are doing what they need to do, if they're going to do that.
So then
Otherwise-
can we say that within 30 days, they have to have some agreement with a contractor, and we can figure out what
Let's
that
do
language
that.
looks like, but I don't wanna kick this can down the road, well, I'm trying to find somebody, you've got 30 days to get it done, otherwise we're moving forward, but I think folks are gonna need, from the sound of the situation, they're gonna need concrete dates if there's any expectation of those folks hitting it.
I agree, I couldn't agree more, and you know what, if there's a legitimate good faith reason that they are desperate for an extension, no doubt they can come talk to the board about that. So, and we can modify if we need to, hopefully we won't.
This is not a problem that's just come up. This has been a lingering problem for going on more than a decade.
I think it may have been a problem before the property was even abandoned. I think it was falling into disrepair many years before August of 20 years ago or whatever the date was when it actually ceased to be occupied.
Yeah, see, that would be the biggest difference.
Yep.
Yeah, how long is that? All right, this is, I guess, look for resolution, please answer your name as
Can we
well.
clarify the resolution, Mr. Hall put a timeline in there that Mr.
30 days.
30 days.
So, within 30 days?
Yep.
Okay.
This is a resolution, please answer your name as called.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Moorhead,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Kurtenbach,
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. The next item on the agenda is item C. This is a resolution calling for Supervisor Chris Schwartz to resign from the Blackhawk County Board of Supervisors. The Board of Supervisors remains committed to due process and to the principle that individuals are presumed innocent until proven guilty. And under Iowa law, the Blackhawk County Board of Supervisors does not have the authority to remove one of its members from office. Each supervisor serves as an independently elected official, accountable, to the voters. The Board of Supervisors is committed to the residents of Blackhawk County and wants to provide assurance that county services have been and will continue to be provided with the same professionalism, integrity, and dedication that is demonstrated every day by the board and staff. The additional criminal charge filed against Supervisor Chris Schwartz has resulted in heightened public attention, concern, and distraction. And it is therefore resolved that the Blackhawk County Board of Supervisors hereby calls on Supervisor Chris Schwartz to resign from his position immediately so that Blackhawk County government can operate without continuing distraction from these legal matters.
Any public comment on this?
I'm sorry?
Is there a public comment for this?
We don't, not that I'm aware of, Mike, we don't have public comment on this.
You don't have to allow public
And we
comment
did
on
have you
this.
speak earlier, so thank you.
Yep.
This is a resolution, please answer.
Do we have a motion?
Somebody make a motion.
Oh,
So moved.
Second.
this is a resolution, please answer as your name is called.
Brant,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Kurtenbach,
I guess I had a comment I wanted to make before we went to a vote, but yes.
Schwartz,
No.
Leyland.
Yes.
I would like to make a comment on this. Will?
Don't know.
Are we allowed to do that after the vote?
You're allowed an opportunity for discussion before the vote. I think Supervisor Kurtenbach is saying he didn't get his opportunity beforehand. And we are supposed to allow board members a discussion opportunity.
I just want to take this moment, I'm kind of reminded that he with no sin cast the first stone, and that's not me. I've lived in a row of glass houses. However, we as a board cannot simply sit back without our own ethical standards being questioned. I believe as a public that elected officials have the responsibility to hold themselves to a higher ethical standard and to lead with unquestionable moral integrity. Again, that's why you'll not see me putting anything on Facebook or my website representing this situation. With these charges against Chris, this puts our ethical standards and moral integrity into question and puts us into question condoning the situation without making a statement here on behalf of the board. Innocent or guilty, the situation that led to these charges are not acceptable. That is the basis of my decision today.
Moving on to item 9, legislative update.
Legislative update, we've had a lot of activity last week in the Senate regarding the property tax bill. It did pass the Senate and is into the House. They had quite a few changes involved with that. It does get back of the adjustable rollbacks on residential. It does place it at residential at 65%. And then there's a homestead credit of 15%. It does create new exemptions for seniors. People 60, age 60 to 69, there's a 60% deduction. 70 to 80 is 70% deduction, 80 to 90, 80%, and so on and so forth. It does have a 2% cap on general basic, but it does allow CPI allowance for growth. Sets a new base. Actually, the base, the 350 base that we are dealing with now is removed, and it's now based on that 2% cap growth. We'll see how things develop this week again on the House when it comes to the property tax. One of the more concerning problems is the other items we're seeing passing legislature that continually take away the county's right to make decisions. One was Senate File 2369, Act relating to county and city regulations of accessory dwelling units, ADUs. It has been the county's ability to decide whether we allow them or not. That was taken away. We are now required to accept at least one, if not more, ADUs according to this legislation. Any other questions the board has on some of these things we can forward? I can tell you that we did have a very informational Zoom meeting with ISAC on the legislative process and property tax bill. If you've not been able to see it, please let me know, I'll forward it on to everyone.
And they are starting to think that they may be done in April, so.
Yeah, there's a question that might want to get out of there here sooner than later.
Item number 10, discussion and possible board action, consideration of all aspects of the fiscal year 27 Blackhawk County budget. And I know we really, this was always on the agenda until the 20th when we had the hearing, so if anybody had any comments or questions. But I think in light of the meeting we had yesterday where there was some new information shared about the budget, it might be good if you have that available to share that with everyone. Thank you.
Can at least go through these, Sal, you can hit that button for me, please. Thank you. So you made one more adjustment last week, April 7th, so I have incorporated that now into our budget documents. You've seen these all many times. I'm just gonna cut to the bottom line. We're now looking at total property tax collection increase of 1.8%. That is roughly equivalent to this 2% revenue cap that the legislature is discussing. And what does that mean for our taxpayers? I have several iterations that we've worked on through here, but not all of them. I thought I would just mention, we started out at the proposed property tax levy hearing that an urban residential property would have an increase of 4.55% and a rural would have 5.45%. But as of today, that has changed. Now, an urban residential property can expect to see a 3.03% increase. That is an increase of $8 for each 100,000 of assessed value. So you can apply that to your own value. If your home is worth 300, it's gonna be $24 or 3 times. Rural residential is now at an increase of 3.41%, an increase of $15 per 100,000 of value. That's a little bit more than urban, simply because the properties in the county, as the assessor evaluated them, that average for that category was a little bit higher. These are all example rates. Because this was a revaluation year, if you're trying to apply it to your own property, you'll need to check and see what your value changed, because it'll be different could be different for every property. Commercial property, if your property increased as the assessor average was of 2.1%, then your increase per $500,000 value of property will be $26 or 1.21%. An industrial property, and a portion of those, not all of them, but according to the county assessor, those with warehousing facilities were increased. So their tax increase will be 10.24% because their value is increasing. That happens to be $477 increase on $1 million. The ones that are left, ag property, that is increasing by $11 or 1.61%. And then the multi-residential continues to decline. And that is interesting, that category may be making a comeback in the new law, so that may change. One of the big changes a few years ago was they changed that to mirror residential property, and now it may be getting a different category with a different rollback. But right now, they're looking at a decline of 1.18%. So those are really the changes that we've made, and I've given you the details so you can walk through how I got from the tax asking page to the increases for each property type. I did give a presentation yesterday. I think I'm not going to subject you to that unless you want to, because it's all information that you've heard. There's just a couple that I would point out, and you'll get more information about these next week, because next week is our public hearing. First one I want to show you, funding. There we go. So our levy rates, this is a several year history of it. And I should- You can see that our rates after 2022 did have some significant declines. That's when the state took over mental health levy. But we have been able to reduce or keep it fairly level since that time. The rates that we're proposing to adopt now will actually be slightly lower than what is shown on here for FY '26. So our rates are dropping slightly. Collections are increasing about 693,000 for everything we have to do, which I think is admirable at this point. I will update this for the budget hearing too, but just as a reminder, between fiscal 17 and fiscal 26, the consumer price index, which is something people talk about a lot, that increased 33.4%, but our property taxes for all categories except one actually fell during that time. And rural residential did rise, but they rose 15% as compared to 33% if things were going up at the rate of inflation. So no one likes to pay property taxes, I'm in that group too, but I do think the county has provided value for what people are receiving, and we aren't even keeping up with inflation with what we're doing. Are there any other topics from yesterday that you would like me to cover?
So we have to have that in by the end of this month, what's that date again?
Must be certified by April 30th, I have to have it uploaded.
When will we be able to see, and sometime in May, could you share with us, maybe it's May, maybe it's June, of what other counties, sort of where we came with our 1.8% increase versus other counties? When is that information public and able for us to review?
I am not sure, I usually don't see it. The state doesn't finish certifying the levies until late June or July.
Got it.
It's just a lengthy process, so
Got it.
a lot of times that is not really available till fall.
It might, however, probably find it through media sources and that sort of thing, potentially.
We can
Maybe.
see
We
what's
can see what we
available,
find.
I don't know the timing and,
Yeah.
you know, we're relying on the state, so I'm reluctant to make promises that I can't keep.
Fair enough.
But if we can find information, we can share
Okay.
it.
Sounds good, thank you.
Anything else for that, Michelle, for the budget? Alright. Moving on to any reports or information from the board.
I'll just report that I had another meeting with the townships. I got a couple more coming up this week. Again, Kathy brought up the DOT meeting we have coming up in Denver tomorrow evening, Wednesday evening, 5 p.m. library on the intersection of Highway 63 and C57. And I just want to make a note of passing of one of our community gifts that we've had. Passing of Gary Kelly, passed away Sunday. And he was instrumental in doing a lot of the artwork for us during Irish Fest for many years. And I know he's going to be greatly missed in the community.
Did want to set up, I know we were sent information on the conservation applicants for the board, so I'll ask Lori to be working on those and getting some more information set up for us to do some interviews. So we can get that position filled on. Hearing nothing else, please.
Quite a few months ago, we met, Mike and I and Heather Pendergrast, met with City of Cedar Falls and CFU. Sounds like we've come to an agreement on Black Hawk Park. We are just waiting on CFU to finalize. To be honest, I'm not 100% sure what we're waiting on with CFU. I just know that we've been waiting. But I did want to report back that we've had movement. That is looking like it's gonna move over to county ownership. We've been, obviously, the caretakers of that space for decades.
Yeah.
And so it'll make it a little more palatable for us to make the necessary improvements, once we officially own the land, so,
Look forward to hearing on that.
yeah.
There's no other business. I ask for adjournment. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Yes.